Hello there. Thanks for joining me this Saturday. I'm Tonton, and these are tonight's top stories. 5 killed in ferry Manora tunnel crash. Cops nab 8 terror suspects in 3 states. Man kills brother in squabble over TV. We begin tonight's bulletin with this story. A car and a lorry burst into flames after both vehicles were involved in an accident in Kuala Kangsar Perak earlier today. The incident occurred on the North-South Expressway near the Manora Tunnel at about 11:30 a.m. Kuala Kangsar Fire and Rescue Department spokesperson said, based on preliminary investigations, it is believed that the 5 people have died in the accident. The victims were said to have been trapped in the car before the vehicle went ablaze. The fire was successfully put out by firemen at 1:30 p.m. The identities of the victims, however, yet remained ascertained. The accident also caused a gridlock along the stretch of the highway towards Ipoh. Eight individuals suspected to be terrorists linked to a religious center advocating Salafi jihadism in Perlis were arrested on September 24th for disrupting public order. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Muhammad Fuzi Harun said the suspects were arrested by the Bukit Aman Special Branches Counter-Terrorism Division in simultaneous raids in Perlis, Kuala Lumpur and Johor. According to the IGP, the suspects, 5 Europeans, 1 American, 1 Middle Easterner and 1 local, aged between 24 and 38, are made up of students, former teachers and former students of religious center. In a statement today, he added that the arrests were made after obtaining intelligence on the efforts of a terrorist group upholding Salafi jihadism to set up their religious centers in the region. Among the suspects was the brother-in-law of a prominent terrorist in the ASEAN region that is linked to the Sheikh Mukbil school in Yemen, which strongly believes in the slaughtering of non-Muslims and Muslims that are not in line with their ideology. The IGP also said that the arrest made by the Counter-Terrorism Division was to stop the dissemination of Salafi jihadism that has been a catalyst for terrorist groups such as the Daesh, Al-Qaeda, Jama'ah Islamiyah, Abu Sayyaf, Boko Haram and others. The first arrest was made in Perlis, where 6 foreign men, believed to be members of Daesh or other terrorist cells in their home country, were nabbed. Another arrest in the Klang Valley involved a 33-year-old man from the Middle East, a former teacher of the religious center who had been organizing uncertified classes to promote Salafi jihadism among Malaysians. The third arrest was made in Muar that involved a 32-year-old Malaysian businessman who was also a former student of the same religious center in 2014, who rejected the democracy system and supports for the implementation of the caliphate system in the country. A 40-year-old man was stabbed to death by his brother at their flat in Taman Sri Murni, Selayang early this morning. It was believed that the 2 brothers had a squabble over television prior to the stabbing. City Police Criminal Investigation Department Chief, Senior Assistant Commissioner Rusdi Muhammad Isa, said police received an emergency call at 5:15 a.m. about a commotion that resulted in injuries at a flat unit. Policemen who went to the scene then found a man laying lifeless on the floor of the unit with wounds on his body. Initial investigation revealed that the victim had an argument with his 56-year-old brother, who is the suspect in the case, before the murder took place. 5 stab wounds were on the victim's body, as well as injuries on his head and hand, believed to have been caused by a sharp weapon. A parang and a pair of scissors were also seized from the scene. The suspect, who was also injured in the incident, is currently being treated at Selayang Hospital. The victim's body was sent to Kuala Lumpur Hospital for post-mortem. The case was being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Police crippled the drug syndicate in Sabah after a local unemployed man was arrested and nearly 52 kilograms of shabu worth 2.5 million ringgit were seized from a car in Lahad Datu on Wednesday. This is also the biggest drug seizure in the state so far. District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Nasri Mansour said the 34-year-old suspect was arrested in a raid at a parking lot in front of a shop in Bandar Seri Perdana. The suspect tried to run to evade arrest when policemen approached him but was overpowered by authorities after a scuffle. 25 golden yellow plastic packets containing shabu were then seized from the back seat of the car. Police are now trying to identify the source of the drug and uncover the drug distribution network. The suspect is currently being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act as well as the Penal Code for rioting. The oldest son of Baling MP, Datuk Seri Abdul Aziz Abdul Rahim, was released on bail after being questioned by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC). Its Deputy Chief Commissioner, Datuk Seri Azam Baki, when contacted, said the individual was released at 2 this morning.
Kita bagi dia lepaskan jaminan. Okey, jaminan SPRM. Yang berapa nilai tu tanya budak tu lah, nama Syukri tadi. Lepas tu beliau akan dipanggil betul berdasarkan keperluan bila kita ada perkembangan baru.
The 24-year-old was arrested at MACC headquarters in Putrajaya to assist investigations into graft allegations against his father. It was reported that the man played the role as a runner or proxy between companies interested in getting projects from the previous administration and his father. Meanwhile, a 40-year-old car dealer with a Dato Indra title has been remanded for 6 days. It was alleged that the suspect had helped the politician to transfer money received from construction companies. Several parties have questioned Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Dr. Mujahid Yusof Rawa's statement to cease Khalwat operations. Perak Mufti Tan Sri Hurasani Zakaria said the Khalwat operations and raids must continue as it is an offence under the State Sharia Criminal Enactment.
Memang ada undang-undang, orang yang buat salah boleh tangkap. Kalau tak ada undang-undang, macam mana kita buat? Kalau selama ini tak ada undang-undang, orang boleh saman. Sekarang ini ada undang-undang, maknanya setiap penguat kuasa, dia ada pula dia punya lesen penguat kuasa. Saya pun tak faham lah kalau operasi tangkap maksiat tak payah dah. Kita biarkan dah, buat tak ada operasi orang payah menyamun duit, tak ada.
Tan Sri Harusani also said that Dato Mujahid's view becomes a policy. Vice activities will go unchecked in this country. Meanwhile, Pahang Mufti Datuk Sri Dr. Abdul Rahman Osman said the minister does not have the authority to instruct religious enforcement officers to cease Khalwat operations or operations on activities that go against Islamic teaching at private premises such as people's homes. He pointed out that these matters fall under the purview of each state's religious council. Earlier, Dr. Mujahid had said that what Muslims do behind closed doors was none of the government's business. The article noted that he was against religious authorities knocking on doors in the middle of the night to investigate reports of Khalwat. Meanwhile, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has expressed support for Dato Mujahid's call to end moral policing in favor of a policy for compassionate Islam. The Prime Minister said Islam, as the religion of peace, should not overlay focus on what people do in the privacy of their own homes.
Islam tak suruh kita pergi cari orang, nak cari salah saja, tak suruh. Sampai nak kerabat masuklah rumah orang apa semua. Itu bukan Islam.
The Premier also reiterated his rejection to harsher punishments for Islamic criminal offences sought by political rivals such as PAS. Earlier in his speech, Tun Dr. Mahathir stated his quarrel with the previous Prime Minister is among the factors that kept his brain working. He added that when people keep thinking and using their brain, they will not lose their memory, as often seen among some senior citizens. All telecommunications companies offering internet services need to ensure that consumers get the speed of the internet as offered in their packages. Communications and Multimedia Minister Gobind Singh Dio said the ministry, through the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission (MCMC), would monitor the telcos and would take appropriate action if the internet speed experienced by customers was not the same as the package promised. According to the minister, he had asked the telcos to create a complaint bureau for consumers that have any issues with their internet packages. and stressed that their complaints must be studied in depth and quickly, as well as dealt with effectively by the companies. He also urged telecommunications companies to review the old internet packages offered to their customers towards reducing their prices. Gobind Singh also said the government was working towards revising the minimum standard in the prices of the internet services to ensure that they are reasonable for consumers. The MCMC would also make an announcement on the matter tomorrow. We're going for a short break now. When we return, wedding video sends many into tears, but for the wrong reasons. The details after this breather. Welcome back. Now let's take a look at our daily segment Clickbait for what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Weddings and the start of marriages are something special for newlywed couples, meant to be filled with happiness and laughter. But for one bride who had just tied the knot some 3 weeks ago, things were quite the opposite, as her wedding video didn't quite meet the cut. Her honeymoon days were filled with depressing Instagram story posts on the matter, which to her surprise gained a lot of attention from netizens. This was because the video was weirdly edited with blurred out footages and contained a lot of unsuitable animations, including a missile flying by, as well as Mickey and Minnie Mouse appearing in the footage. Now take a look. The unique wedding video, which was uploaded by the videographer himself on YouTube, gained nearly 800,000 views and more than 20,000 dislikes. The first thing you'll notice is the special snow effect at the beginning, with a rather sad soundtrack orchestrating the video. It later moved on to a song from Metallica and a whole bunch of other unexpected special effects, including the names of the newlywed couple, mentioned 22 times throughout the video. Even the couple's grand walk inside the mosque got cut off from the video frame. But what was the cherry on top? Somewhere in the middle of the video was a random flying object that could have been a shooting star or maybe a rocket. The videographer, in a text to Farah, insisted that his videos are unlike any other, as he claims that it is rare to find editors who are capable of doing animation, especially when it comes to wedding videos. The bride had earlier took to Facebook to express how surprised she was when the video went viral after he complained about her experience throughout her Instagram stories. She stated that the video was included in the wedding package, and a day before her wedding, she was informed that someone else had to take the place of the initial videographer, hence why she did not have the time to check out his previous work. And after things went bad, the wedding planner had refused to give the details of the videographer. And of course, many had a lot to say after watching the atrocious video, with some even offering to help re-edit it so that the couple can have a more meaningful memory of their big day. Now in the U.S., 2 Mexican women who were shopping at a Colorado grocery store had the shock of their lives when they were suddenly berated by a white woman just for speaking with each other in Spanish. Fortunately, a fellow shopper came to their rescue and put a stop to the harassment on the pair. A video of the heated verbal exchange had gone viral, garnering over 1 million views since it was posted earlier this month. The woman in the white shirt, identified as 64-year-old Linda Wire, had initially harassed the 2 Hispanic women, hustling abuse and insisting that they speak English when they are in her country. But the beratement came to an end after Camira Trent stepped in and threatened to call the police if Wire refused to stop and leave the pair alone.
Harass people. Hey, get out of here now. You know what? Do not. I'm calling the cops. You know what? You leave these women alone. Get out. You know, go.
Camira eventually did call the cops, and Wire was arrested and charged with 2 counts of bias-motivated harassment. Wire, however, maintained that she's not racist and insisted that her outburst was a patriotic thing, and she was just offended that they were speaking Spanish in the store. Now updated as of 7 p.m., here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. A registry with the names of convicted child abusers will be set up next year. Deputy Women, Family and Community Development Minister Hannah Yeoh said the updated registry would enable parents and schools screen those who deal with young children. She also said her ministry will work with the Office of Chief Justice Richard Malanjun next week to access the list of convicted offenders. Hannah also said another measure to safeguard children is to promote counseling in all People's Housing Project flats. To date, there are 8 PPR flats offering counseling services. When child abusers are charged in court, people tend to forget about the victims. She stressed that the victim also needs to go through therapy and healing process. Not many may know this, but Malaysia is now home to the first private rehabilitation hospital in Asia. As rehabilitation medicine is still not well known in the country, the Regen Rehab Hospital aims to create more awareness on rehabilitation treatment as well as making it more accessible to the public. The 96-bedded hospital, which opened its doors recently, is dedicated in providing the best rehabilitation medical care to patients in Malaysia and the region. Hafizatul Salma Harifatila reports.
Recovering from an illness or injury that causes physical or cognitive disabilities can be very difficult for some patients. However, the right rehabilitation treatment and support can help patients gain optimal recovery and regain their mobility. This is why Regen Rehab had chosen a more patient-centric approach in providing extensive rehabilitative care to meet the needs of rehab patients. As part of its corporate social responsibility initiative, Regen Rehab had also launched a campaign to sponsor treatment for 3 deserving individuals with different medical conditions. One of them is Carol Chiam, a pensioner who had struggled with weakness on her upper limbs and lower limbs after an operation to treat her spinal cord injury. Initially, she was told that she could suffer from paralysis. However, her life took a miraculous turn after undergoing a month-long treatment at the hospital.
My physiotherapist made me walk. And I told her, no, I can't walk. Yes, you can walk. And it's true that she made me walk, and I take my few steps, and I try, and I can. But she have to support me first.
During the rehabilitation session, the physiotherapist will help the patient to restore back the proper way of walking, known as gait training. Located in Petaling Jaya, Selangor, the new healthcare facility features a team of professionals from various clinical disciplines and uses technologies as well as new advances from the field of rehabilitative medicine. Apart from highly trained physiotherapists, the multidisciplinary team also comprises of rehabilitation physicians, occupational and speech therapists, psychologists as well as dietitians.
So it's not just one type of impairment. So for example, they will lose the ability to walk, they will lose the ability to use their hand, they're not able to learn how to dress, they have got swallowing problem. So that's why you will need different professional to address this different impairment.
Patients also said that the cost of rehab treatment at the hospital is not only affordable but also reasonable. Hafizatul Salma Harifazila for 7 Edition.
When we return, 3 killed in violent Gaza protest. More after the break. Thank you for staying with us. 3 Palestinians, one of them a young boy, were killed by Israeli troops during a protest at the Gaza border on Friday. Another 376 people were wounded in the violence, including 126 who were shot. Fares Hafiz al-Sarsawi, aged 12, and 24-year-old Muhammad Akram Muhammad Abu Saman both died after being shot in the chest. Meanwhile, Hussein al-Rakab, 28, was killed after being shot in the head. Thousands of Palestinians had gathered for a weekly protest along the border, controlled by the Islamist group Hamas. Protesters threw rocks, hand grenades, explosive devices, and set tires on fire, while Israeli troops responded with tear gas, live fire to disperse the crowds, as well as carried out airstrikes. The protest, which now enters its 7th month after Palestinians first began participating in the Great March of Return on March 30th, have seen more than 44 children slain. Here are some updates on the last week's massive earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia. Indonesian family members continue to search for missing loved ones as heavy machinery rolled onto mountains of rubble, digging for bodies on Saturday in the disaster-stricken city of Palu. So far, the official death toll from the disasters stands at 1,649, but many continue to rise. Two bodies of the two teenage brothers were found locked in a final embrace beneath the rubble of a collapsed building. Rescue workers pulled out 18-year-old Muhammad Rafli, his 16-year-old brother Muhammad Hidayat, clinging to him from under debris in front of their uncle's house in the devastated Balaroa area. Their other brother is still missing. In total, 8 bodies were found in Balaroa on Saturday, while recovery teams continue to work in the tropical heat to find other victims 8 days on. Elsewhere, search teams also pulled bodies from the rubble of a mosque from another part of the city. Hundreds of people are believed to be entombed in slowly drying mud that swallowed the communities, with officials estimating that it might take up to 5 months to remove all the soil with excavators. The National Disaster Agency estimated about 1,000 people were still missing, while 70,000 are displaced in 3 areas, namely Petobo, Balaroa and Sigi, following the earthquake. Malaysia is also one of the 11 countries involved in transporting aid, including food and basic necessities, to the affected areas. Media Prima Berhad bagged awards in a total of 8 categories, including 4 best categories at the Health Ministry's Media Appreciation Night at Eastin Hotel in Kuala Lumpur last night. 2 NTV7 reporters were recipients of the 2017 TV Best Health Reporting category for the English and Chinese language, winning them each a trophy and 3,000 ringgit each. Wanizul Islam won the top prize through his report titled Bringing Healthcare to the Remote Parts of Sabah. Meanwhile, Alvin Lai Yi Weng grabbed the other prize for his report, Finding Angels 2017 Cancer.
Saya sangat terharu dapat anugerah ini, dan walaupun ada banyak media yang tercalon, saya terpilih sebagai yang terbaik untuk bahasa Inggeris. Bukan senang buat dalam bahasa yang mungkin bukan mother tongue here in Malaysia, tapi itulah kita cuba saja, kita cuba yang terbaik.
Another 2 NTV7 journalists, Nur Farhan Nabila Muhammad Wazir and Azlina Aris, won the consolation prize of 1,000 ringgit each for the same categories. Other winners from the company include Irin Putri Azmi, while NSTP bagged 3 awards, with Osman Lisud, Rashika Ilmi Abdul Rahim and Muhammad Zulkifli Zainuddin winning 3,000 ringgit for the Best Print Media Health Reporting. For the Best Infographics category, Azizul Abu Bakar won 2,000 ringgit, while Taranya Arumugam won 3rd place in the Blue Ribbon Award category. Health Minister Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad congratulated the winners and said the media played an important role in advocating health-related awareness and disseminating of information. Also present at the event were Health Director General Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah and the Ministry's Chief Secretary Datuk Sri Dr. Chen Chow Min. Well, that story wraps up our bulletin this evening. Now, before we go, take a look at the new extended Aquaman trailer that was released during the 2018 New York Comic Con this weekend. The upcoming DC movie will hit major screens this December. I'm Otto Othman. Thanks for tuning in and see you again soon.
That was a product of a love that never should have been.
He could unite our worlds one day.
A son of the land and a son of the seas.
Your mother always knew you were special.
You are part of something deeper. You are the bridge between land and sea. Take your rightful place.